back to my channel. So today I thought that I would make an updated video on my Passport Traveler's Notebook and also my Pocket Moleskine and what has happened with that system. So those of you who followed me know that I originally started the year off using a Passport Traveler's Notebook, and I bought a Pocket Moleskine to go on the inside of this cover. And then, with everything coming out and people showcasing their planner setups, I went down that rabbit hole of not being happy with my system, and I started purchasing different things and I tried different things and ultimately ended up in rings for a very, very short period, and then found myself not wanting to be back in rings. And yeah, so ultimately at the end of it, I did end up back in my Passport, but then some funky stuff happened and then I got bored with this, and so I made another change. So my original 2022 setup is nowhere near the same, although the concept is still the same. So anyway, I used this, and I was using this even though I wasn't always in it. I was using this for like my memory planning and a weekly, and yeah, I didn't use these other two booklets really. I think I wrote like a few things in this one, and then I just stopped. The first booklet, I only wrote one thing, and I never returned to this booklet either. So these were two booklets that I really did not use. For the bulk of the use of this cover, I just used the weekly and the Pocket Moleskine. Now, after being in A5 rings and realizing how heavy and how cumbersome it really was, and also personal rings, I dabbled in my Passport Traveler's Notebook again to sort of use my Moleskine as everything. And I really do love the Moleskine products. I think, they're reasonable. I wouldn't say it's superior paper. It's not going to be your Hobonichi or anything of that sort or such. But I think it's a pretty decent planner for what it is. However, my little Pocket Moleskine didn't hold up for me, and I was having some issues with bleeding from the pens that I was using. And yeah, I was just having a couple of issues. Now, the pen situation is nothing new to me. I had already pretty much known that any gel pen that I use, especially any fountain pen that I use, would automatically bleed through this. The only things that don't is ballpoint pens, really. But I was using this as my memory journal or memory planner, and I wasn't in this book every single day, but I was using it every single week. So I would update it. Like at the end of the week, I would sit down and I would go over all of my memories and flip through my planners and write down little tidbits about, like the day and what task I did. It was just a very fun thing for me to do on Sundays and Saturdays, and I don't know. I started using this heavily once I, figured, okay, I just wanted to be in my Moleskine and my Passport size cover. I noticed that some time back, a week before I made the switch, and I don't remember when I made the switch, that my book was coming apart and I was just flipping through just to show you guys like what I've done in here so far. My book was coming apart at, the front where the cover and that first page meet. And for me, I was just like, okay, easy fix, right? So you can kind of see The glue is coming up. The tape is now coming up. What I tipped in isn't staying put anyway. So, um, yeah, this was not going to last. This fix that I did. But anyway, it was coming apart. And so I carefully tried to mend that page together, but ultimately that one just ripped. And so I cut down some paper, and I had to cut down like 2 sheets to kind of make this fit. And it was like cardstock. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it was like cardstock. And so I tipped those in because I felt like it would be sturdy and it would be better than just using regular computer paper or something. And then I thought I fixed a problem. And then a couple of days later, I noticed that my pages were pushing outward. So I thought maybe I did not cut the tip ins that I put in to replace or to fix the problem. I thought that I didn't tip them in close enough to the spine. But when I flipped this over, I realized that it was actually the Moleskine paper that was sticking out and not the actual tip-in. I don't know if the camera picks up on it at all. But then I go to look and I can see that the front cover or the front inserts are pushing away from the spine. So I flip in the book and I do like a quick glance just to see like what's going on. And I flip to the monthlies, and then that's when I noticed that the inserts were pulling away from the front spine and also the stitching. Now, I don't really break my books in. I don't really do this to the book. I mean, it's not that I don't believe in doing that. I just never done it really for any book. But that was happening to me as if I had broken the spine right there. And I don't know. Once I saw that, I pretty much was figuring out like how to fix the situation. And I couldn't figure out what would be feasible. Yeah, I could put tape here, but that wasn't going to be a good visual for me. And ultimately ended up chalking this and regretting buying the pocket version. I love the 18-month version, but I really regret buying the pocket version because it just didn't last me that long. It lasted me for 2 months, and then this book started falling apart on me. Originally, I wanted to purchase the Moleskine MD One Day One Page, which is something that I had last year, but I did not purchase it at the beginning or the start of this year because last year when I attempted to do my memory planning in here and to solely use this as my main planner, I really couldn't get with the size of this planner. Mind you, I had never really used A6, and so I really didn't know what to do with, like this squared space. Nor did I know how to navigate through this timeline that they give you on the left-hand side of the page. So even though I was using it, and I really love some of these spreads a lot, like this one was really pretty to me. I just love the way that I did this one. Even though I was using this a lot in the beginning, it just wasn't giving me like that love moment. Like, I love this kind of a moment. And so ultimately at the end of my last entry, which was sometime in March of last year, I shelved this and I never returned to it. So an entire year of this book was wasted because I couldn't figure out how to navigate through this. And so I was mad at myself for that because this book was relatively expensive. It was about $40. It was listed on the miscellaneous store in Amsterdam. as 30 euros, and I purchased it, had it shipped here to my home address in Germany, and it cost me a little over 40 USD. And so it was a relatively expensive book. So I beat myself up about this one a lot. But I shelved that one. And I didn't want to purchase another one for this year because I felt like that same thing might have happened. But then I started using my Stalogy. So the beginning of this year, I had purchased several, or not this year, but last year. The beginning of last year, I had purchased several Stalogy notebooks in the A6 size, and I was trying them out versus the Sequins notebooks, which are these notebooks here. Now, the Sequins notebooks are thicker, and not only are they thicker, the Stalogy notebooks have a better grade of paper. And yeah, I mean, all around, the Sequins notebook is just smaller in size. It's more equivalent to your pocket size, really. And I'm not gonna lie with you. After using the Stalogy notebook, I really started falling in love with this A6 size. Now, I am not too fond on the square still. There are some things with the squared size that I really don't like the fact that it's square, but I loved using this book so much that I think that I could go back into the Midori and be okay with it, because now I've had several months of use with the A6 size and I feel pretty comfortable with using it. So this was a book that I used mainly all the rest of last year and absolutely loved every bit of this book, down to journaling, down to planning, all of it. It was just a really enjoyable book to use, and I enjoy flipping through the pages and setting up the pages and seeing it fulfill its duty and all of those things. So, now that we've got the issues with my Moleskine and my passport out the way, so I made the decision. I moved my weekly out of this book, and I fixed the situation for my new memory planner. So in this, which is a field notes size cover, I get a lot of questions on this cover when I do show it either on Instagram or my YouTube channel. I own 2 of these covers, and I am so saddened that the shop owner and maker of this cover had to close his shop indefinitely due to the fact that his country is in a war. So the guy who made this cover, his name is Daryl Standing. I'm pretty sure his last name is not Standing, but the company is Daryl Standing, and he makes beautifully handcrafted leather goods down to covers, belt clips, pen cases, all of the things you can think of. He makes them by hand. He hand stitches these by hand, and you can tell that they're hand sewn because if you look at how the leather is folded over, you know that a machine did not do this kind of stitch work. And then, as I was saying, he had to close his shop indefinitely because he is from Ukraine. And so it just really saddens my heart that, like what's going on. By living here in Germany, we hear a lot of things all the time. And it's just really sad what's going on between both countries. I know the citizens of Russia and things like that are, I know that they're hurting too, as well as citizens of Ukraine. None of this should have ever happened. So I'm really, really sad that his shop closed, as well as several other people that I shop from who've also announced that they're closing their shop. So my heart should just go to them. And so I really wanted to use this because I never really got the chance to appreciate this cover to its full extent. I bought this cover back June when I was getting ready to give birth, and I shelved it because I didn't know if I wanted to use it. I wasn't exactly in love with it at first, and now having set it up and put my stuff in here, I love it even more now. So like I was saying, I have put my Passport Weekly in here. I even had a Moleskine Cahier pocket notebook in my Passport that I was using for everyday journal, like a morning journal, and I've taken that out. Obviously, I've put it in here, which it fits better in this because this is made for a field notes size. And then I also have a Leuchtturm 1917, which I haven't really used that much. But I'll explain like what's going on with all of these three books. So my my Passport Weekly. This is something that I have used from the start of this year. I don't know if I should zoom you guys in. Let me see. Can I zoom you guys in? There we go. So like I was saying, my Passport Weekly book is something that I've used since the beginning of this year. And I've used this to kind of just, log basic to-dos and some tasks. And I use it to keep track of like the vitamins and medications that I take. And so it's a great little companion. It doesn't hold everything that I would typically put in a weekly, but this has been a pretty good little book to just have as a backup of information. So I've really loved using this book, and I can't really find myself, I don't really see myself falling away from this. I'm going to check some stuff off because I did do or take these medications. There. So my week is complete because I've taken all of those. And as I look through previous weeks, like last week, I did not do too good taking my medications, and I felt it. But yeah, like I was saying, this has just been a great little book. And then this is this following week that I would need to set up tonight. And I don't know if I'm going to do a plan with me or not. So we'll see. But anyway, I put my Passport Weekly booklet in here. And then what I've been doing for the last week, I started this book back, I want to say it was like sometime in January. Yeah, it was like middle of January I started this book, but I wasn't using it as much because I wasn't in my Passport notebook or Passport Traveler's notebook as much. So I was actually using my Moleskine to journal memories and things like that. If I could just show so I was using my Passport or my Moleskine to journal things from like the morning and, just little things. Whenever I didn't do like the memory keeping thing or just writing basic tasks and things like that, I would journal. And so I used this book very similar to how I used the larger Moleskine book. And so I put this in here because in the morning times I really have a lot of thoughts. It's kind of like your commonplace or your brain dumping book or something like that. But for me, it was just a morning journal. And I usually just do this in the morning. And this was just enough space, just enough pages that I needed for the morning, for the week. This booklet will probably last about 2 weeks, and I have a bunch of them. So it was perfect because I could use 2 for an entire month. So although I started this one in January, the middle of January, and I'm not going to be finish with it until today, because today would be the last day to complete this book. Um, if I was using this like I had started to do, then this booklet would only last me about 2 weeks, maybe a little less than 2 weeks. And so for me, that would be 2 booklets per month, and it would have all of my morning journaling. So I added this in there to basically jot down every single little thing that I either thought about previous nights, or um, during the morning when I was getting dressed. And as you can see, my journaling is basically just writing. I am really big on journaling. I have mentioned in previous videos that I have been really big on journaling these past couple of months, and I've been journaling in several different booklets. I don't know why, but I feel like I've always been into journaling, and I used to journal a whole lot, and then I fell off a little bit. And then I don't know, this season of my life, I'm getting back into it, and I'm finding a therapeutic use of doing it, and it's helping me, keeping me calm, because I have been getting frustrated at a lot of things. And so, yeah, I have just been journaling and journaling and journaling every single morning, several times in the mornings, when I can. And then I just leave it be. And I use other journals for, like my extensive personal thoughts and things like that. So I actually don't have one that I'm using for an extensive or personal at the very, very moment. I mean, I have one that I'm using for like trigger questions. So I have like my trigger journal. It's pretty much like a commonplace book, to be honest with you. But I don't have one that is like very, very personal, one that I wouldn't share. I was using one in Passport, and then I finished that one last year, and I didn't know if I wanted to continue in Passport, really, or if I wanted to jump into something else. This booklet helped a lot to distinguish what I wanted to do with my morning thoughts. So this booklet I've just been using every morning, and I didn't get a chance to journal this morning, and I actually have a lot of things that I wanted to catch up with putting on, the pages, in terms of like my thoughts and things from this morning. So I know that when I get my time tonight to, finish up what I didn't get to do this morning, this booklet will be done. There's literally only 4 sheets of paper left in this book. And it was a fun little book to just jot down all of my morning thoughts throughout the weeks and whatnot. And the last booklet that I have, like I mentioned, is a Leuchtturm 1917. This is in the A6 size, and this is inlined. This, because I don't have a daily booklet at all, I never purchased the daily Passport. I've just been using this as a to-do list, pretty much. It's basically just dated with a couple of notes and to-do lists, and it's not every day, it's not consistent. It's basically when I need it, when I need a sheet of paper to either write a note or to capture like a couple of tasks and things like that I need to do. So it has a spot where you can date, and then, like I said, it's lined, so I just make my list and things like that. And then when I need to follow it, then I just follow it. And then when I'm done, I'm done. But that's what my Leuchtturm is really for. It's just a booklet to BS in and write to-do list, notes, things like that. It's nothing serious. I also have learned this year that I'm really not into daily planning right now. I do have a lot going on in my life. I will say that, but my son is very busy, and he keeps me very busy, and sometimes I can't make a daily page. I just have to make like little to-dos and reminders. And so um that's what I've been doing. But when I need a to-do list for multiple things that I have going on, then I will create a to-do list or like a daily page. But I've only been doing it when I need it, and instead of doing it every day like I've been doing for the past couple of years. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is my little passport. Well, actually, this is a field notes size 10, but technically, that is my little update in terms of like my passport and what happened with that and what I did with it. Now, what did I do in terms of my memory planner? Because that was the big one for me. Like, I was gun-ho on, or gun-struck on, having that Moleskine be my everyday memory journal, memory keeper, or whatever you want to call it. So what did I do with it? Well, I said that I wanted to try the Midori again. So I did. I went and I already had this A6 cover from last year when I told myself, and I'm trying to zoom you guys out, but I think I zoomed out too much. Oh boy. Let's see. Okay, I think I zoomed out too much, but I think we're fine. Like I was saying, I wanted to try that little A6 size again because I had used the Stalogy, and so I didn't want to go back to the other Midori MD One Day One Page because it had last year's stuff in it, and I kind of messed up some of the pages, and I just didn't want to go through fixing all of that to make it usable. So instead, I will use that one as my tester for different things, different stuff that I want to do in my memory journal, and then I will do the actual thing that I was testing out on the paper in my memory journal, if that makes sense. So I already had this A6 cover. I just purchased another one in all brown because I'm really just loving neutrals, and I really just wanted something that didn't have like florals or decorations on the cover. But this is what I had for the time being. I also have a what do you call this? A sequins notebook inside of it that is going to take the place of my personal journal. So I zoomed you guys out just a little bit because you guys looked really close. So that is going to be my personal journal. It's just something I'm not pretty much going to show, but I have it in there because I like to keep my journals together for the most part. There's nothing in here right now, but I thought that I would just show you that it's just a very basic little setup. Last time when I did this, I had like 2 Stalogies, and I was using one for weekly and notes and daily planning. No, I'm sorry. I was using that Stalogy last time for last year's setup as weekly with notes, and I used another one that I had in here for personal journal, and then I used the Midori MD One Day One Page for my dailies. And thinking about it now, it was a whole lot. It was just way too much, and I think that's why it just didn't stick. But I'm going to be using this little sequins as like a journal. I have a couple of ideas in terms of like what I want to put in here and all of that stuff. I chose to go with the sequins because I don't do a lot of different mediums and things like that. So this was perfect for what I needed. And also it is a chunkier book. And so that means that I'll have more time in one book, and I won't be switching them out as frequent as I would have to do with my morning journals. And so that is, something that appealed to me. And then I have my Midori MD, which I'm going to be using for my memory journal. So I'm kind of setting this up the same way that I did my A6 Stalogy when I did the pocket here, and then I did the decorative paper behind it, and I did this jelly like holographic jelly that I just tipped in. I'm kind of setting this one up very similar. I got the holographic jelly with some floral vellum, and then I have my little page here, which I have not numbered yet. So I want to number 2020 too, and whatnot there. But I haven't finished the actual setup for this. I do want to add like a little pocket here for just basic ephemera, things that I want to use particularly in this book. Although I have pockets and whatnot, I just want to keep the ephemera and stuff with the book. And that's pretty much it. It's just my Midori MD in this sequence book, and a couple of, like journaling cards, little decorative die cuts and things like that. But basically, this is going to take the place of my Moleskine, and I've got some tabs that I want to use and put in here and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the update with my passport and memory journal situation. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in another one. Bye.